All right, fifth grade Bengals, welcome to week 3, day 1. Let's go over last week's exit ticket. All right, this was a bit tricky one, pretty challenging. All right, so the answer was 57. Let's figure out how it was 57. So I did what I like to call my 66 times tables. It's not a thing. One of these times I'm going to get a mathematician call me up and say, Mr. Brisbane, what are you doing? 66 times tables? It's not a thing. I know. But I like to call it a thing. So, because that's really what I'm doing. I'm doing all my 66 up 1 through 9. Just like I would do my 6 times tables, 1 through 9. Okay? So, after doing that, then I come and see how many 66s go into 376. And it's a mouthful. Well, I find out that 5 of them go in to get 330. So you also want to make sure that these facts are right and the products of these facts are right, because if not, it's really going to mess you up over here. So that's where typical mistakes happen this past year, not getting these right. So I subtract 330 from 376 to get 46. I bring down my 2, now it's 462. How many 66s go into 462? Well, 7 of them. And you get exactly 466, as you can see here, to get nothing left over, giving you that answer of 57. And it's important to check yourself. So 57 times 66 should and will give you 3,762 as your answer. So today we're going to move into fractions. All right, love me some fractions. And that doesn't mean getting away from multiplication and division, because they go hand in hand. All right? The numbers are just a little bit smaller to deal with most of the time. So, ultimately, where we have a problem, choose the fraction that makes the statement true is what we're going to focus on today. All right? So I have 3/4, and I want to know which of these fractions is less than 3/4. So what does 3/4 look like? Now, I don't have different colors to make it look all colorful, but here's your 3/4. Which of these is going to be less than that? Well, I could try drawing, but you can't trust drawing sometimes. You just, because your partitioning may not be perfect. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that looks to be bigger, all right? But man, that's awfully close. That is awfully close. So let me draw 2/3 now. Oof. I mean, it looks to be smaller, but looks can be deceiving. So how are we going to figure out for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that which of these fractions is less than 3/4? We're going to find equivalent fractions to each of them and see which fraction is smaller than 3/4. So, how do I do that? Step 1, I'm going to find a common denominator for 4, 6, and 3. 4, 6, and 3. So I'm going to do my multiples of 4, 6, and 3. All right, and somebody taught me this trick this past year, one of you guys, or one of the students from this past year, that I really liked. So I'm going to stick with it. Having how many times I counted by 4s up here. So 4 times 2, let's say, equals 8. 4 times 3 is 12. All right. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6 is 24. 6 times 2 is 12. Ooh, there's 12 and 12. Okay. Let me just pause there for a second. That means I need to get this guy to be 12. It's 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. Ooh, 12. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to turn all of these fractions, 1, 2, 3, into having a denominator of 12. So 3/4 needs to have a denominator of 12. 5/6 needs to have a denominator of 12. And 2/3 needs to have a denominator of 12. So how am I going to get from, in this case, how did I get from 4 to 12? It took me 3 times. So ultimately, whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do to the numerator. So if I'm doing 4 times 3 to get me 12, I need to do 3 times 3 to give me, 9. Okay. So I need a fraction that's less than 9/12. That's what I need, because that 3/4 is also known as 9/12. Remember, think of this as Bruce Wayne, 9/12 being Batman. All right, so how did I get from 6 to 12? It took me 2 times to get there. So 6 times 2 gave me 12. So now I'm going to do 5 times 2 to give me 10. Ooh, that's more than 9/12. So I'm thinking 5/6 cannot be the answer. I want it to be 2/3, but let's confirm that. So 2, that's how many times did it get me from 3 to 12? It took me 4 times to get there. So 2 times 4 will give me 8. Wow! What close numbers. 9, 8, 9, 10, 12s. Those are so small. My picture doesn't really show just how small each of those really are. But man, are they small? So this ultimately shows me that 8/12, also known as, let's say this is Superman, as Clark Kent, 2/3, is smaller. So the answer for number 1 is 2/3. Lots of steps there, right? So we found a common denominator. We found the equivalent fractions to all 3 of these fractions. And we found which one of these fractions, these equivalent fractions, ended up being smaller than 3/4, which in this case was 2/3, also known as 8/12. So we're going to follow that same process for the remaining problems today. So go ahead, hit the pause button to find out which fraction is greater than 1/2. Do that now, please. Okay, so this one's a tough one in the fact it takes you a long time to find a common denominator. Holy mackerel. All right, so I don't know, hopefully you can see it from there, but I'm going to zoom you in just in case. Okay, so I did 2, 6, and 5 as my denominators, right? I'm trying to find a common denominator. So I went out all the way to 2 times 10 to get 20. Then I started doing my 6's, and I didn't see 20 at all, but I stopped at 30. Then I did my 5's. I did see 20, but I stopped at 30. So I said, wait a second. Well, if 5 and 6 meet 30, I wonder if I kept going on my 2's if it would hit 30. Well, 30 is an even number, so it will hit 30. But how many times will it take me to get to 30? So I'm going to keep going here, down here, to figure out how many times it takes me to get to 30 when counting by 2's. 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. So it takes me 15 times to get to 30. So 15 times 2 equals 30, right? Which means for each of these denominators to be 30, for 2 times 15 got me 30, which means 1 times 15 will get me 15, an equivalent fraction to a half. So I need a fraction that's bigger than 15/30, is what I'm trying to find here. 6 times what gave me 30? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5. So 5 times 5 will give me 25. Ooh, that looks bigger than 15/30. Well, let's check on 2/5 here. 5 times what gave me 30? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 times 6 will give me 12. That's smaller than 30. I'm sorry, that's smaller than 15. So that goes to show that 5, 6, also known as 25, 30, is bigger. 5, 6 being the answer that I need. All right, let's move on to number 3. 2/10 is greater than which fraction? 1/6 or 3/5? Hit the pause button now, please. I'm going to give you a little tip or hint here. You might want to use this chart to help you out a little bit. Okay, so here's what I found is denominator being 30 again, okay? Because 6 and 5 I know 30 is a multiple of 6 and 5, so I stuck with that. And I know 10 times 3 equals 30, so that's why I'm using 30 here, okay? To get to finding out what the numerators are, I'm doing 10 times 3 and 2 times 3, give me 6/10. So I need a fraction less than 6/10 here. 6 times 5 and 1 times 5 equals 5. Ooh, 5/30. Wow, that's really close to 6/30. And it's also less. Let's check 3/5 though. 6 times 6, 3 times 6 gives me 18. Therefore, showing me 1/6, also known as 5/30, is actually the smaller fraction here. All right, last but not least, 1/3 is less than which of these two fractions? 3/10 or 2/5? Hit the pause button to solve. Okay, so we're trying to find the fraction that's greater than 1/3. I'm telling you, they're all going to be pretty close too. So I found the denominator to be 30 again. So 3 times 10 gave me 30. So 1 times 10 gives me 10. So that's the fraction I'm trying to beat. I'm trying to get greater than 10/30. 3 times 3 is 30. 3 times 3 is 9. 9/30. Well, that's less than 10/30. And then 5 times 6 and 2 times 6. So 2 times 6 equals 12, which is greater than 10/30. Therefore, 2/5 is the larger fraction. Because 2/5 is Bruce Wayne and 12/30 is Batman. All right, so think about the steps we took here before continuing the exit ticket. We found the common denominator for all 3 denominators. It took us quite a bit for a lot of them, okay? And just coincidence that all 3 of them were 30, all right? But if you can do this, you'll be able to do the exit ticket without a problem. Take a look at the denominators as you're doing the exit ticket. Notice something about them. Okay, so with that being said, go ahead, solve the exit ticket, and we will see you back here tomorrow or in our Zoom class. Have a great, awesome rest of your day.